The baby on this side of the safari truck is about 15 months old. He was around 120 pounds the day he was born. A baby southern white rhino can gain 100 pounds a month, so I'll let you do the math. He is a big baby. The rest are adults. Adult southern white rhinos are up around 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. Their head alone can weigh between 800 and 1,000 pounds. They can reach around 3 tons, and these nearly 3-ton animals can run over 30 miles an hour. They're strictly grazers. Head is low to the ground. They have a wide, straight-lit mouth for grazing grasses and herbs, etc. Directly to my right, looking right this way, is an African cheetah. Fastest land mammal on Earth. A cheetah can reach 70 miles an hour in a straightaway. A cheetah can go from 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds. And that is faster than a Corvette car. Why the beautiful spots? Spots break up the outline of the body of an animal. Camouflage. Cheetahs are fast, but they can only maintain those high speeds for about a minute or they would overheat. A cheetah has to get as close to its prey as possible. They are endangered, critically endangered in the Middle East. And it's been very necessary that we've had a breeding program here since 1969. To my left, that herd of antelope, except for the 2 in the shade of the tree, the herd are Nile lechwe. They're wetland-adapted antelope. They live alongside the Nile River. The adult male is nearly black with a white patch over his head. He's walking away from us. Under the tree is a male and a female Defossa waterbuck, aquatic adapted antelope. The waterbuck under the tree are excellent swimmers. They would plunge into water and swim away to escape a predator such as a leopard or lions. Now look at the 2 under the tree. They look alike, except the male has horns. And then if you look at the Nile lechwe, the males darken almost to black. That is called sexual dimorphism. When the male of a species looks so different, they almost look like another species. They stand out to predators, where the females and the baby males are better camouflaged. Down below on your right are greater flamingos, pretty in pink. A very light pink, these African flamingos. That light color would camouflage them in a salt flat habitat. The light color would also keep them cooler in a hot climate. Though Africa has many different climates, it's a huge continent. In fact, Africa covers more than 20% of the world's landmass and hosts the greatest density and variety of wildlife on the planet. You are about to see some of the legendary beauty and majesty of the African continent. We'll be observing animals and birds from the South African savanna, the Sahara Desert of North Africa, and the tropical forest of Central Africa. You'll see extraordinary diversity, and we're going to look at how some of these animals, how they've adapted. Okay, adaptation. On my right is a rhinoceros lying down. It is an East African black rhino. It has a much, much smaller head than the white rhinos because this rhinoceros is a browser, a leaf eater. They come from a scrub forest habitat. She is pregnant, and that's a good thing. The East African black rhino is endangered. We've had over a dozen of them born here trying to help them out. Gestation period for rhinoceros is about 16 months, and she's due any day, any week. Next to me at the feeding trough on my right is a native wild animal, native mule deer. He's in velvet. His new little antlers are forming. When they're fully formed, they will be bone. He'll scrape the velvet off, and he'll have a nice polished set of bone antlers for the season. Then he will drop them, shed them, and next year they'll grow back larger, and he'll have more points. As I said, the East African black rhino is endangered, not a good thing, but at least it means that species has a chance. The sad story is their cousin, the western black rhino, which looked very similar but was from the opposite side of Africa, was announced extinct in 2011, as was the Vietnamese Javan rhino, announced extinct that same year. How is this happening? Species of rhinoceros disappearing completely from the planet. Well, there are people, various cultures, for different reasons, that will pay an extraordinary amount of money for rhinoceros horn, even though it's simply made out of keratin, like your own fingernails and hair. There's been medical research and has no medicinal qualities whatsoever. So it's very tragic that they've been killed to extinction for their horns. Now that we've been traveling up a couple hills, is there anyone that needs the volume up higher? Okay. Up the hill to my right, under that little shade structure, there are zebras, Ravi zebras. They are the largest zebra species in Africa, and they have the skinniest striping pattern. The skinny stripes help camouflage them in the dry grasslands that they inhabit. Gravies are also the most endangered zebra, not doing well in Africa. We have a breeding program for them here. And in Africa, we've been attempting to help them survive a severe, prolonged drought that has been decimating their numbers over there. Across to my right, back by the fence, are western Rappel's vultures. Notice the vultures don't have feathers on their head. They're the cleanup crew in nature. Vultures put their heads into carrion. It's more hygienic for them to not have feathers on their heads. That way the sun can bake off any bacteria. There is a vulture nest across to my right with a parent vulture at the nest. And in the nest is a baby vulture. In front of the water and on the other side of the water down to my right are Egyptian geese. Directly across to my right are Summerings gazelles. They're light tan color would camouflage them in a near desert habitat. Notice their belly is very white. The white belly would keep them cooler as they walk across hot, sun-baked earth. And over to my left, Patterson eland. They're some of the largest of all antelope, 12 to 1,800 pounds. The female eland have the longest horns, longer than a male. So some species of antelope, the females don't have horns. Some of the species, the females have smaller horns. And other species, the females have the largest horns. In Africa, there's over 70 species of antelope. And you're going to see many of them look very, very different from each other. They have adapted to surviving in diverse habitats, different climates, different altitudes, adaptation. To my left, Maasai giraffe, dark colors, and Cape buffalo up above that adult female Maasai giraffe under the trees there. That Maasai giraffe, the adult female, is about 16 feet tall. The black animals on the other side of her, Cape buffalo, they're actually one of the most dangerous, fierce animals in all of Africa. Cape buffalo join forces and fight off danger. It's called mobbing. They believe in mob and pride of lions. They are that fierce. Right next to me are two female Gemsbok oryx. With this species, the girls have the longest horns, and check out those horns. They can be a yard long, even more than 3 feet. Notice the striking black and white threat mask on their face. You know where they come from. There's a lot of competition for resources. Note their very light tan color. That would camouflage them in a near desert habitat. They too have a white belly. They live on the outskirts of the Kalahari Desert. There might not be water for months at a time. One of the things they can do with those horns is dig tubers out of the earth and obtain moisture from the tubers that grow underground. Right next to me are two young giraffe and an adult female. She again is about 16 feet tall. Giraffes all have a prehensile tongue. Their tongue can reach up into a tree and grab a single leaf. They have an inch of length of tongue for every foot of height. So 16-foot high giraffe would have how long a tongue? Below me on my left, in the corral in the boma, is a 4-year-old East African black rhino, the last son, baby, of the East African black rhino we saw earlier. So again, this species has a much smaller head because they are strictly browsers coming from a scrub forest habitat. Coming up on our left, lying down toward the second tree, toward the base of it, is a northern white rhino. This is one of the most critically endangered large mammals on the planet. There are only 7 left. We have 2. Our 2 are elderly. So this is yet again a species of rhino on the brink of extinction. Future generations will not get to see them. Like the southern white rhino, their head is huge and low to the ground. They are strictly grazers. They were from way farther north in Africa, up by the Congo and Sudan. On my right on the hill is another critically endangered animal, the Somali wild ass. They are probably extirpated in Somalia, extinct in the wild. And they are beautifully camouflaged for a hot, arid habitat.
Zoom out a little so you can see something.
While traveling up this hill, I'm not able to stop the tram. I need to keep it moving. You'll see animals down below on the left. There's a southern white rhino in the boma there. He's 45 years old, has fathered 9 babies here.
He's cute. Sorry, move your head. I can't. I'm staying here, TJ.
Below on my left are long-legged antelope, the greater kudu. Notice they have vertical stripes on their torso. The vertical stripes would camouflage them in a scrub forest habitat. Whenever you see vertical stripes on the torso of an antelope, you know they're forest adapted, some sort of forest. Below on my left are small gazelles. These gazelles, these are adult males, they are perfect cheetah-sized prey. And that means they're very, very fast. They have adapted to escaping cheetahs for eons of time.
Wow, great zoom. We've been here before.
This is hard while the crater. When we get to the top, we slow down and stop. It'll be easier to keep the into something.
Yeah. Bird. It's a pelican. TJ. Why are you pointing it at me? Hello.
There we go.
Now that we're up on the flat bridge, I'll be able to stop the tram. Down below on my right are pink-backed pelicans. On the left are great white pelicans. These are 2 different African species. The great whites on the left are up around 20, 25 pounds.
Oh, those things
You
are
can
fat.
look way back toward that bridge on the right. Up above the bridge, lying on the grass, are rusty orange antelope. They're called bongo. I just want you to get a glimpse of the color. That orange color would let us know that that species comes from a lush green habitat. The reason is, in the limited color vision of a predator and many four-legged mammals, orange and green are the same shade of gray. An orange animal is well camouflaged in a green habitat. Up high in the hills above these enclosures is the native habitat of this area, coastal sage chaparral. It's one of the most endangered native habitats in the entire United States, second only to Hawaii. The safari park is comprised of 1,800 acres, and nearly half of it is reserved for this native habitat. And all the native birds, bees, butterflies, native mammals, and reptiles that depend on it for survival.
Joey, stop. Your fingers in it.
On the hill to my left are roan antelope. Many of them are young, but if you look at the adults, if you can see a face of an adult, they have a black threat mask on their face. Roan antelope are highly territorial. They're muscular, they all have horns,
I
and
can't.
the adults have that black threat mask. Those characteristics are for intimidation.
If you have nothing to aim at, just kind of hold it out and zoom out so you can get a wide angle shot. Wait for something to look at.
Way down to my left, you can see more greater kudu under a tree. And again, they're forest adapted. They are often under the trees. Looking forward into the dry enclosure with a little round building. Those are audads. They're small, they're tan. Audads are rock climbing sheep.
Dad, look.
They come from dry, barren, rocky habitat. Even the little babies are excellent rock climbers.
What are we looking at? Oh, dang. Whoa, those horns are huge.
There's a cow down to the left, dark brown with huge horns. She's an Ankole cow. They're bred by the Nkoli people in Africa as status symbols. She's still young. The horns of Ankole cattle average 6 feet across.
Oh yeah, I can get these giraffes from all the way up here.
Yeah, we're still moving.
Down below on the left, you see the audads. Audads have beautiful long hair under their chest. They're hunted for that hair and for their horns.
One under the tree.
I'm trying to see it.
I see it. It's gonna be hit by the tree now.
Nice.
The tallest giraffe down to our left is the adult female. Oh, look under the trees. One is trying to get up on the rocks. Sometimes they stand on the rocks. Pretty precarious, I would think, for a giraffe.
Yeah.
But that gets them to those leaves, and they're fed leaves every day. But I guess it's just more exciting getting them right out of a tree. More Gemsbach oryx down to the left. I see a little tiny baby oryx next to that feeding trough. And a slightly older baby oryx to the left of the little tiny baby. A tiny baby oryx starts showing horns on its head at just a few days old.
You're right, you're still with the fun?
I'm starting to see down to my left springbok, another gazelle-sized, perfect cheetah-sized prey. There's one Gemsbach oryx right next to me. And then the springbok are the smaller ones out there. Being perfect cheetah-sized prey, they are very, very fast. Springbok have been clocked running 60 miles an hour, 60. They're very athletic. True to their name, they can spring or jump about 10 feet high. And they are the mascot of the South African rugby team, South African Springboks. On the ridge of the hill to my right, up through the palm trees, I can just see the horns of a couple of Ankoli. And again, Ankoli cattle are bred as status symbols. The family in a village with the animal with the longest horns is like having the BMW or the Rolex watch.
I got it on film. There.
To my right is a gazelle, very light tan. So it comes from a very arid habitat. You can tell a lot about where an animal comes from if you simply look at the animal, no matter where it is. Coloration, markings, type of horns. The big eland are off to the left. I see an ostrich way out there.
Oh yeah, I
Big
told
bird,
you.
7 to 9 feet tall. They weigh between 200 and 300 pounds. They are flightless, which I think is a very good thing. The huge valley off to our left is the San Pasqual Valley. It was designated as an agricultural preserve back in the early 70s. It's the home to many farms and orchards, and to us, the safari park. I think we're all very fortunate to have this little piece of Southern California that remains relatively more natural. Off to my left are gray antelope. They have short, curved-in horns. And then the brown ones, the Ellipsan waterbuck, the females don't have horns. The gray antelope are called wildebeest, or white-bearded gnu. And curved-in horns serve them well because they're migrators. In the past, they migrated in herds of up to the hundreds of thousands across the Serengeti Plains. So with curved-in horns, that way they're not stabbing each other. As we've been exploring and watching these beautiful animals, I've been talking about many characteristics that they have that help them survive. Oh my gosh, a brand new baby deer. Look across to the left. Can that baby deer even get out of the enclosure? It will. It's in the rhino enclosure, and to get out it's going to have to climb up a wall. But it'll do it, because, you know what? It's a wild animal. They are survivors. Little baby mule deer.
I got it.
The mule deer are wild, native mule deer. They're in the rhino enclosure, taking advantage of the free lunch program. And baby just has to follow mom wherever she goes.
Can't get it.
Notice the color of the native mule deer, very light brown. That would camouflage them in these dry Southern California hills. You've heard me mention camouflage many times on this journey. It's important to remember in the wild, if you cannot be seen, you will not be eaten. Now, I started to say, we've been watching these animals and I've been talking about characteristics that they have that help them survive in their habitats. They have survived supremely well for thousands of years. But right now, at this point in history, many of these species are challenged. Some have already gone extinct. Others, like the northern white rhino, is on the brink of extinction. And that's one of the reasons the safari park is here, to help these species through this difficult time. Hopefully they'll be around for future generations to enjoy. And when possible, we do help reintroduce them into their native habitat. But we can only do that when the government, where they're from, is stable enough to guarantee them habitat and make sure they're not killed off all over again. There are many different reasons why so many species are having a hard time and going extinct. It can be loss of habitat, climate change, diseases from domesticated animals, hunting and poaching, as with rhinos, tigers, elephants, giraffes, or simply human encroachment and pollution. I'm going to mention 3 little things that we can all do in our daily lives without much effort. And these 3 things help native species and native habitat everywhere, including in our own backyard. They are recycle, reduce, reuse. I call them the 3 R's. That helps me remember, and you can apply them in many different ways. Recycle, reduce, and reuse. Off to our right is baby southern white rhino. His name is Coyote, which means bringer of joy, and he's been
Where's the baby rhino?
very fun to watch
That
grow
one,
up.
but he's pretty big for a baby.
Oh yeah.
He is with his mother at the feeding trough. His father is the one directly to my right, lowest on the hill. That's big old dad there. And the females, more female rhinos are up above. The females have the longer, more dagger-like horns. They're the ones that would protect the little babies in the wild from lions. Down below on my right at the stump are some East African crown cranes, beautiful birds with a golden crown on their head. Catty corner to my right are giraffes. This is the most endangered subspecies of giraffe, so we do have a breeding program for them. You can see there are some little baby ones. And a baby giraffe is about 6 feet tall the day they're born. They have to be that tall to reach mother's milk. There's one baby getting a drink there. We just had a baby Maasai giraffe born at the zoo just days ago, and that baby was 6'2" the day it was born.
Wow, that's how tall Mr. Parker is.
Most of these are Ugandan giraffes, although the one to my right with a rust-colored head is a reticulated. It's the Ugandan that are very endangered, not doing well in Africa. More giraffes off to the tree to my right. Those are Ugandan. No matter the subspecies, they have this patchwork pattern. And the pattern on a giraffe camouflages them where they spend most of their time, under trees, eating leaves. If you look at the broken pattern of light and shade under a tree, caused from the sun coming through the tree.
And more giraffes.
Perfect pattern to camouflage.
Yeah, a lot of giraffes around here.
I'd like to share another Swahili word with you, asante. It means thank you. Asante, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Please remember that wildlife and habitat everywhere are natural treasures that San Diego Zoo Global is working hard to preserve. We are a nonprofit organization. Your admission into the park, your membership, any money that you spend here, goes toward our worldwide conservation projects in over 35 different countries. Today, you are part of the solution. And again, asante.
I'm tired.
Up on our right is Lion Camp. If you haven't been up there, you might want to venture up there and see our beautiful Transvaal lions. They're one of our conservation projects over in southern Africa. An adult male Transvaal lion can weigh up around 500 pounds. As we pull into the station, the antelope on our left, the big dark one is the adult male, lowland Nyala. The others are young males, or the ones without horns, females. The females, again, don't have horns, so you know they come from a fairly abundant habitat. And notice the vertical stripes, they come from a forested habitat. My name is Denise. I'm going to be up front if you have any questions. Hope you enjoyed your tour, and when we come to a complete stop, if you want to help open your door, you can lean over to your right and push the black